So floor practice, we're going to come onto the floor in neutral spine. A little bit easier now than when we're standing or seated. So hopefully you should easily be able to get your hips nice and level. So work with that first. Nice level. Little gap under your lower back, and then see if you can get your rib cage to relax onto the floor. Tuck your shoulder blades under. Tuck your chin in. If you can't get your head in a good position, put something under the back of your head to draw that neck a little bit longer. So ab prep you can do with your legs bent if you find that your back is tensing. So if we take this leg away and it pulls your back and you cannot get that back to the floor, then have one leg or both legs bent. So we're going to have a go with legs straight if you can. We've got level hips, we've got the lower back, little tiny gap under the small of your back, rib cage relaxed, shoulders relaxed, legs relaxed to start with because we just want to find those ab muscles and get them working. So breathing in, breathe out, engage your core, draw up through your centre. So like we did seated, you're drawing up through your centre and then you're drawing your rib cage down. So try not to push with your head. Try and think of this being locked. And as you breathe out, lift up through your core and draw the rib cage down so that you lift your upper body off the floor. And come back down to breathe in. Pull in under the ribs. It helps to keep your hands there, keep your hands there. But remember, don't tense your shoulders. Breathing in, breathe out. Lift up through your core, activate, draw down. Less is more. You literally just need to get your head off the floor so that the weight of your upper body is being controlled by your core, by your abs. So we're using the muscles here as well as the core. Pull up through the deeper muscles and pull down using the more superficial muscles. If you find it easy, try and add a little pause at the top without tensing through the shoulders. Again, think about shortening here as you lengthen your core, and that is the key. That you're not compressing, you're not pushing your lower back into the floor at any point. Pull in here. Bring your focus under your ribs. And then we're going to bend the legs, so we're still in neutral. We're going to lift up through the core, and we're going to, as we pull up through the core, feel that little connection here. And we're going to pull the hips towards the ribs. So pull in and try to tilt the pelvis, making sure we've still got a nice tucked in head position, and releasing off. Breathe in. As you breathe out, engage your core. Pull the hips towards the ribs so the lower back touches the floor. Release back to neutral. Bring your feet in a bit. Don't be afraid to change your position. Get into a good position before you start. Watch what's happening. Are you tensing anything else? Are you trying to push with your feet? Just try and get these lower abdominals to work on their own. And get them to work a little bit harder. So what we're going to do now is see if we can pull a little bit more and get a little bit more of a curl. So pelvic tilt you might only do to there, but don't stop there. If you can go further, see if you can roll a bit further and put some pressure maybe into the back of your rib cage as you can feel where your weight moves to. So tilting the pelvis back, feel the pressure of the lower back on the floor, tightening a bit more with the abs, see if you can go a little bit more of a roll, and release down. So we're coming back to that. What we're going to do now, as we breathe out, is just squeeze the bottom. So this time we're not moving the hips. So as you breathe out, lift up through your core just to help with your positioning. Slowly squeeze the bottom. Squeeze in the bottom. Hips are nice and level. Squeeze. Squeeze. And I'm going to add them together. So we're going to lift up through the pelvic floor as you breathe out. Tilt the pelvis, tilt a bit more. Squeeze the bottom. So in this position now, it's giving you a little bit more of a lift. So this is normally where a lot of people get to on the rolling bridge and then they just lift up. But we're going to try and really roll that bridge. So rather than just going tilt and lift and trying not to, and using the back, which we don't want to do, we're going to tilt and tilt and tilt, squeeze the bottom, and make sure we're not trying to lift this rib cage up, and release off. So you should be able to feel your abdominals working a bit harder. So tilt and tilt, abdominals, abdominals, more abdominals, bottom squeeze, a little bit more abdominals. And can you feel now how the lift naturally kind of wants to happen? So we're going to push into the feet now and see if we can get all the way to here. Push into the feet and not just go up into the air. So nice and slow. Relax, get your positioning again. As you breathe out, engage your pelvic floor, tilt, tilt, abdominals, 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 squeeze your bottom, push into your feet. Now keep pushing down, keep squeezing and keep pulling. So as you pull here, this is what helps to give you that lift. Keep tension between your ribs and hips. At the top, maybe even millimetres, tuck your bottom under a bit, push into your feet. Now to come down, do not drop, pull with your abdominals. And try and roll down between the shoulder blades. Try and roll through the back of the ribcage. Keep breathing and roll down into neutral. So we keep using the abdominals here, we're not letting them go. Tilt and tilt and tilt and tilt. Abs all the way. Now glutes. Now push into the feet. Keep using your abdominals. So you're using everything together here. Remembering to keep tension here. We're not trying to flare the rib cage up. Pushing into your feet, thinking about what's happening with your knees, keeping them in. You can always put a block between your knees if that helps. And then using the abs, so the glutes are your support and your abs are creating the movement. And all the way down. Good work. Okay, we're going to come back to straight legs now. So what we're going to do here is crisscross prep. It's the preparation for a bigger exercise. So this time we're going to pull not straight down here, but from one rib cage, one side of the ribs to the other side of the hips. You're going to take the arm out. So if your right arm's out, you're pulling left to right. So we're going to place that arm there just to give us an idea of where we're going. We're not going to try and go up. Same idea as ab prep. We're not trying to lift the head. We're going to roll. So as you breathe out, you lift up through your core. You think of pulling here across the body. And can you see I'm rolling onto the right shoulder blade. Lift up through your core and pull across. So that arm gives you a little bit idea of where you're going. Yeah, try not to move your shoulder, try not to use it. Pull up through your core and draw across. So don't be afraid to take your time. Breath in. Breath out, pull up and pull across. Do it from the other side. Shoulder back. Lift up through your core. As you breathe out, pull across. So to start with, don't even worry how big the movement is. Feel that you are using the right muscles. So here we're pulling across. Excellent. And come back down. We're going to bring the legs up now. We're going to take the arms wide. So we're going to keep, so this is rotation of the spine, keep your feet and knees together. So we're not just dropping the legs, because that could arch your back. We want to roll through the spine. So we're going to just start by rolling. So I'm taking my feet onto the heels actually, because I find that easier. Keep them together. We're just rolling from one SI joint to the other. So back of the hips, everything else in good posture, nice and relaxed. You should hopefully be able to feel that that is actually your spine that's rotating. So it's not really about your legs, is it? It just looks like that. We're moving the lower body. We're going to change it very slightly. So we're going to come across, and the same sort of idea, pulling across as we did on the last exercise, but feeling that you're pulling your hip over to where your rib cage is. So relax your legs a little bit, take a breath. As you breathe out, lift up through your core and draw that hip back. Roll over. So make sure your out breath, your exhale, is on the return. If you want to make it a bit harder, take away some of your support. So remember, you're lifting off, you've gone too far with the legs. You shouldn't need to push with the arms. And then maybe to finish off, just go back to those lovely hip rolls and see if you can feel that rotation go through the lower back, up through the back of the rib cage, all the way up to between your shoulder blades. We're still pulling back, still using similar muscles, but whereas before we were focusing on using those muscles on their own, trying to make them work a little bit harder, we're using back to using lots of muscles now just to rotate through the spine.